In a small laundromat at closing time, a tired crowd, tensions up when a washer floods, and a rude customer snaps at the quiet attendant. A woman in work boots, risking social pushback in her next morning's hospital plan, kills power to the row, wades into cold water to twist a stubborn valve, and even pays for two strangers' laundry. The room changes in quiet ways after that night, and so do the people who were watching. Before we dive in, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And hey, where are you tuning in from? Leave your country in the comments. I love seeing how far these stories reach. The dryers hummed like a low, warm choir. The big round doors spun sweaters and socks under pale light. The windows held the cold back and fogged at the edges. A bus sighed out on the street and moved along. The clock above the coin changer ticked slow like it had nowhere else to be. The night attendant Luis rubbed a nick on the counter with his thumb like he could smooth it out. He could not. He watched the last wash sign blink in its tired neon red. He moved in quiet loops, sweeping lint into a blue pan. He knew which machines rattled on their spin cycle, which door needed a hard hip. He dunked the mop and wrung it with both hands. He picked a stray pink sock from under a bench and hung it on a little lost-and-found hook by the window. People came in and out and didn't meet his eyes, unless something was broken. He knew their faces and their soap brands anyway. He liked the smell of clean pushing back against the day. The bell over the door gave its tired ring. The tired man in a suit with a loosened tie came in with a tote full of wet clothes. A young woman in a parka carried a toddler in a red puffy jacket on her hip. A young man with a skateboard drifted in, hood up, phone out. Louis said hello. They nodded at the floor, the machines, the prices, taped to the wall. The suit asked, "Is last wash really 8:30? His eyes kept jumping to the clock. The trouble started with a high, sour beep. The card reader flashed red and refused a tap. The machine took quarters and then took silence. The suit stared at his tote like it had betrayed him. The young man smirked and lifted his phone for a better angle. The toddler went limp and heavy and began to cry. The air felt tighter. Luis tapped the reader with 2 fingers and tried a reset. It blinked at him. Bored, he felt heat crawl up his neck. Water crawled over the tiles like a slow animal. It pushed from the bottom seam of machine 9-9. At first, it was a shy glisten. Then it tripped over itself and ran. Someone said seriously. The suit snapped, "Are you kidding me? How is this place a thing?" Luis grabbed the yellow sign, the mop, and moved. The mop head was tired and splayed, like a bad haircut. He swiped at the water, and it just spread wider, slick and thin. His shoes squeaked. The toddler hiccuped. The young man filmed, thumb-tapping for likes that wouldn't fix anything. She set down her phone and walked straight into the mess. She wore a paint-splattered navy hoodie and worn work boots that drank the water without complaint. Her braid hung down her back. There was a company logo on the chest. She looked at the machine, then at the wall behind it. "Valves are back there," she said, not loud. The suit said, "Who are you?" She didn't answer him. She looked at Luis. "Where's the breaker?" He pointed at the back corner. "Kill power to the washers on this row?" He flipped the red switch. A part of the room went quiet. No hum. No spin. The leak kept trying, but it had lost the rhythm. She stepped behind the heavy machine sideways and careful hands-on cold pipes. Water crept up her sleeves. She didn't flinch. Her face stayed calm, like she'd checked a dozen leaks and a dozen men who thought they knew better. Her knuckles went white, then pink again. The valve finally gave. The stream thinned to a line, then to a stubborn drip. The air changed. People exhaled and remembered they had lungs. She peeled 2 damp 20s from her wallet. She slapped one on the counter. "For his drier time," she said, nodding at the suit's tote. She put the other in the tray for the young woman and her toddler. "And hers. He's melting." She looked at the young man with the skateboard, put the phone away and grabbed the grey towels from the back. "They're for spills." He blinked, then moved. Luis handed out towels he had been saving, big and heavy. The floor started to remember it was a floor. At the coin changer, Luis popped the panel, fished out a jammed quarter with a butter knife, and fixed the stuck machine for the kid who had been yelling about it. She kept mopping. Her boots made small sucking sounds. There wasn't cheering. Nobody made a speech. The suit cleared his throat and said toward the floor, "Sorry, I was just—" He never finished the sentence. He held his tote like it had weight again. He put his wet bills in the dryer slot, and the drum turned. The young woman breathed easier as the toddler sagged against her shoulder and went boneless, asleep. The The young man stacked towels like a wall to catch the last of the spread. Luis handed the woman in work boots a coin token, the kind they used to have in the old days. He had kept a few in a drawer next to the fuses. "For your next wash," he said. She shook her head. He closed her fingers around it. "Please." Much later, when the leak was a memory of damp cuffs, little things slipped out. Luis made a call on a little flip phone, voice low, Spanish soft in his mouth. "Llegaré tarde, mi amor. Guarda el inhalador de Sophie en la mesa." He tucked the phone back and counted singles into an envelope, nervous thumb making the stack all face the same way. The woman checked a text that lit up her screen and then went dark again. "NRI at 8 a.m. No coffee after midnight. Love more." She locked the phone and slid it face down. She flexed her hands. Red marks circled her wrists where the cold water had kissed her. She pushed the sleeves up and kept drying the floor. In the days after, the room kept small souvenirs of that night. The young man with the skateboard came back and didn't have his phone out. He put a roll of quarters in a plastic cup by the coin changer with a sticky note. "For when a machine eats your last ones." The suit came again on a Sunday morning. He set a small box on the counter without eye contact. Inside were 2 good mop heads, still in plastic, and a receipt folded neat. The young woman in the parka dropped a bag of toddler clothes with a paper sign. "Free, sizes all over the place, clean." Nobody said. This was because of the woman in work boots. Nobody had to. Laundry rooms are calendars and clocks. You feed them quarters and time, and they give you clean shirts and an hour to think. You watch drum windows and practice patience. Sometimes you count your breath with the belt of a dryer round and round. Luis kept the floor drier and the lost and found tidy. The woman in work boots came back on a day off and tightened the rattly leg on machine 6 with a quick twist of a wrench. She didn't make a thing of it. He handed her a donut from a pink box someone had left, powdered sugar, leaving white stars on her hoodie. She laughed once, short and surprised, like she hadn't heard herself laugh in a while. One morning, Sunlight found something new by the coin changer. A peanut butter jar sat there, label scrubbed off with a strip of masking tape across the front. Someone had written 2 words, "in case." It had a few quarters, a crumpled 5, and a bent laundry card. Luis tapped the tape to make it smooth. He didn't move the jar. The dryers sang their low song and the room smelled like soap and warm air through the fogging window. A bus paused and sighed, and then rolled on. The jar caught a square of sun and looked like a small lamp.